Setting up. Okay, I think that we are live on Facebook. This is Peter Franzen with the Children's Education Alliance of Missouri. And today our topic is home learning during the coronavirus epidemic that's going on right now. We have a great panel for you, and we're going to get started in just a second. If you were here last week with us, you know we had a great panel then too, and just going back to that for a second, I want to remind you that you can ask your questions or leave your ideas in the comment section, because everything that we're doing here on Seam Cares is for parents and families to help everyone navigate the coronavirus epidemic, especially as it relates to education. A comment last week was from one of our panelists who was leaving this resource to check out Metro Theater's website for strategies using theater and drama as a literacy time. And it would help if you could see that. I'm going to share that with you. Right here. There we are. Sorry, folks. Julius Anthony, his comment about metroplays.org. I went and checked out that website myself. That's a Metro Theater company, and they had some great interactive in-home learning ideas that you can do. Lisa Wolf left this comment last week. She was telling us to go to Hoopla Digital. I did do that. I was able to sign up for a virtual library card with the Central Library, which is here, St. Louis Public Library, but you can do it wherever you are. There's a whole download list or a whole list you can choose from, and that gives you access to audiobooks and music and videos and ebooks. And then last week, I don't know if this comment from Erica Clark, that children could create their own graphic novels with markers and crayons and paper for a great literacy activity. And I did go do a little bit of digging around, found this on picklebums.com. It's just that kind of thing. It's a template, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So you could do a little graphic novel or a comic book that way. And Heather Nason reminded us that just talking with children will help to increase their vocabulary. That's a great reminder. It's so true. Alex Stallings was on with us from the 9 Network and talked about co-watching some of those great programs that are on PBS. So not just letting the kids watch them, but sitting there and talking with them about what they're seeing. Something that was touched on last week too for parents was to create a daily schedule for you and your kids, to have a wake up time and breakfast. I found this one on Twitter, the COVID-19 daily schedule. It's pretty detailed, but you know, there's something here for everyone. Jessica McHale is a photographer. She has a wake up time for a morning walk, some academic time where she says in her household, no electronics, creative time for an hour, lunch, some time for chores, quiet time, and some academic time, and then another outdoor break, dinner, and then free time before bed. So lots of great ideas, project-based learning ideas that families can try at home, write and perform a play, you know, write poetry and perform it, write and draw a comic book, or rewrite song lyrics. We used to do that at camp all the time. So you can write your favorite COVID song, create and perform a dance. And we're in spring, so you know, backyard or container gardening are all options. So we're back. Here's the panel for today. We've got a great group. Our panelists are all parents. Del Rio Swink is a St. Louis virtual ed parent. as is Lisa Smith, also from St. Louis. And Lisa Tracy is a Kansas City homeschool parent. And I will try to use Lisa and Lisa's last name when I'm talking to them, so you know who I'm talking to. If you're watching live on Facebook, and I hope you are, remember that we want your comments and your questions for the panel. So definitely be thinking about that as we talk. And let's get started with our panel. With everyone having their kids at home right now, everyone is experiencing the world of home learning. And so we thought we would talk to some parents who have been doing that for some time and get their take on it. I'm going to start with Lisa Smith. Lisa, as I told you, is a parent. She's also a real advocate, both with SEAM. So I already know Lisa. She has been an advocate with us and gone to Jefferson City, and also with other important causes. And Lisa has 2 children learning through the MOCAP program. I told you about Del Rio. Del Rio Swink is also a parent and an advocate who's active in her community and is very involved in education issues. And her daughter is enrolled in online programming. And then Lisa Tracy is joining us from the other side of the state in Kansas City, which is awesome because technology during the stay-at-home orders is helping us all connect a little bit differently and with people further away from us. And Lisa Tracy is a seasoned homeschool mom and homeschooling advocate. She started a homeschool Facebook group that now has over 2,000 members. So, but let me ask a question of our virtual ed moms. Lisa Smith, welcome. Lisa, the question for you is just pretty straightforward, and that is, when did you start online learning? What brought you to virtual learning?
Well, Peter, I have been fighting for my children's education for some years now. I live in Riverview Gardens School District. After having some issues in the district, I decided to utilize the transfer program. So I was able to send my kids to Melville School District, and they were achieving academically in Melville School District, but the transportation program ended. The transfer program ended. So I had to make a decision about how were my children going to receive a quality education. Or I would have had to return them back to their home school, which was Riverview, where I had the issues at. So I have been working with you guys at SEAM, and you guys have been working on the virtual education law for a few years. And then eventually a law was passed. So I decided to use the Missouri Access, the Missouri Access Courses program for my children. And so that's what I did. It was either that or send them back to their unaccredited school district.
I got you.
So MOCAP mission is to offer Missouri students equal access to a wide range of high quality courses and interactive online learning that is neither time nor place dependent.
Got you. Thanks, Lisa. Wow. Okay. So, and I remember all that, and I know how important it was to you, and I'm glad you were able to, have some kind of choice there. I know you said this, if the transportation were still available, I know Lily would have preferred to finish at Melville where she was enrolled.
Yes.
But I'm glad she found this option. Del Rio, Swink Lee, welcome to you too. So Del Rio, the same question to you. When did you first start with virtual learning?
Well, I've actually had 2 experiences with virtual learning. My circumstances are similar to Lisa's. My daughter was enrolled in the St. Louis Public School District, and we experienced some issues that endangered her safety and well-being. So I decided to utilize the virtual program then. She did very well. The program does have its pros and opportunities, but overall, she's done really well. The second time I utilized it was after the first time when she had been in it for a while. She lacked socialization. She wasn't involved in any activities with the schools. She did not have any contact with anyone. And she wanted to go back to a brick and mortar school so she could socialize with friends. That didn't work out as well. So now we're back in the virtual program. Socialization is better, but communication with the actual St. Louis Public School District has many opportunities that need to be addressed.
I hear you. Well, from your perspective, and then Lisa Smith, I'm going to ask you as well, Del Rio, just on that virtual tip, what are some lessons learned, or what would you want parents to know going into this, into the world of virtual learning? Anything in your experience that you just think parents should have a heads up about?
Yes, well, I can start on the pros end. As far as the pros of the program, virtual actually offers some programs that St. Louis Public Schools do not. Okay. So you can take some accelerated classes through the virtual program, such as the ones that my daughter did. She's actually supposed to be a junior in high school now. She is actually 3 credits away from graduation. So she'll be graduating early. So the pros are she can go at her own pace. Your children also can go at their own pace. There is a set time in my home when my daughter has to start her classes, but with any other child, it doesn't have to be. So you can set your own schedule as well. And all of the credits go towards their graduation. The cons are there's not much communication as stated in the St. Louis Public School District policy as it should be. Since January, we haven't spoken with her instructor, a facilitator, even after several emails of questions that I had. So those are the cons. So I pretty much had to figure it out for myself and act as a homeschool situation rather than a virtual program where it was ran by an actual school district.
Okay. Well, and I will say, we were involved in that. And I know Lisa testified and helped make this mocap a reality. And it has had kind of a bumpy start, kind of a rough start. Lisa Smith, anything from you about, what takeaways, what parents should know?
What I think parents should know is about the process of getting your children enrolled in virtual education might be a little hard, because it seems that the school districts are not familiar with this law, with the MOCAP law. So you gotta educate the school district about the law and let them know that, you gotta basically tell them, educate them about this law and let them know this is what it is, or get advocates like Sing to come and explain the law to them, for them to be able to do what they supposed to do, or give you the quality education you're supposed to get. Because at first they didn't know what I was talking about when I asked, can I roll my children into the MOCAP program? They'll tell you they don't know what you're talking about. So you really gotta, it's a learning process for the parents and the school district. It's we all gonna be learning together what the law is, what's my rights, what's your rights, what you supposed to do, what I supposed to do. It's gonna be a whole learning process with the school district. So that's what I want them to know. That's what I want parents to know. It's gonna be a learning process.
Okay. And I want to remind everyone who's listening that, if you have questions for Del Rio or Lisa Smith about online learning, or in a second here for Lisa Tracy about her homeschool experience, folks are watching, so that's exciting. And Lisa Tracy, I'm going to turn to you with some questions about homeschooling. And just so I don't have to interrupt you a bunch of times, I'd like to kind of get at, how long you've been homeschooling, what got you into it, and then, what are some of the important lessons that you've learned along the way in your experience?
Well, I've been homeschooling since my kids have been born. I always say you start homeschooling from the time you have kids. And my sister-in-laws, my husband and all of his sisters were homeschooled. And that was something that I had not been really exposed to before I met my husband and his family. And I was able to see what that looked like firsthand, what homeschooling looked like, how you can customize what your kids learn based on their interests, based on your beliefs, and really bring a curriculum to your kids that really gets them in the right direction for the path that they want to go on. And so before we even had children, we decided we had the discussion about homeschooling, and my husband actually said, if you don't want to homeschool, you don't have to. He said, homeschooling's not for everyone. And he said, like, pray about it. We talked about it. I had my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law to ask questions to about it. And when we had our first child, I was like, let's homeschool her. Let's do this all the way through. And so that's kind of how we got started. So my oldest one is 13. So that's how long I've been doing this. And I learned that it's not as hard as I thought it was. And I am more qualified than I thought I was, and more qualified than what I've been told too. I've had people tell me I wasn't qualified to teach my own children. And so I've overcome a lot of those doubts and questioning myself. And I had a great support system going into homeschooling, and starting with, my oldest one, when she was 4, she said, "Mommy, I want to read." And so I was like, well, okay. So she started kindergarten at 4. And so we just went from there, and she's been doing well, and she's taking some high school classes now at 13, and has just really flourished in doing school at her pace with what interests her and with the curriculum that we are able to choose for her and her siblings.
Lisa, Tracy, am I right in saying, that homeschooling has really blown up into a big thing? I mean, there's, your Facebook group alone is a couple of thousand people, and there's now all sorts of resources and parent groups that connect parents, that address some of the socialization concerns that people sometimes bring up.
Absolutely.
That there's joint field trips, and
we have sports teams. We have, there's homeschool sports leagues in our area. There are co-ops, meetups. We have a group that does school outdoors, like they call it forest school. And we have music teachers that will cater to a homeschool schedule so they can do lessons during the daytime if that's easier. I mean, there's just so much out there, and for every type of learner, there's a curriculum for that student, whether it's a video correspondence curriculum where they go to class online, kind of like a virtual school, or you do the traditional curriculum with books and worksheets and learn just the traditional sense of homeschooling.
Well, one thing I learned, Lisa, Tracy, is that, I know that what's going on right now, this sort of forced stay-at-home order, is not to be confused with homeschooling, because homeschooling is really a thing. But, what do you think that non-homeschool parents can maybe learn from the homeschooling community in this current situation, where we don't know if it's going to be a month or 2 months, if we don't know if we're going to finish the school year? So that's a long time to have kids at home. What are some of the things, some of the fundamentals that you think these sort of, all of us who are in this learn from home situation now could learn from people like you who have been doing this for a while?
Well, it's important for the parents that are bringing their kids home now from public schools to learn to understand that this wasn't something that you thought out and processed and planned for. You were kind of given a few days notice that your kids are going to be home now, and you're going to have to figure out this new program for how you're going to get them lessons, how they're going to complete their required work. And so it's a transition for you and the kids, and to just remember to give grace. You know, you don't have to replicate this classroom at home. You just have to make sure that they're completing the required work at home, and to just let them have room to play and explore and kind of decompress from this really fast transition that they've had, and that they do need time to relax and to play more. And so I just wouldn't stress about, you know, having a full 8-hour learning day. Is what I've been kind of talking to some parents about in my area, is to just, you're not going to try to recreate school at home. You're going to get them through the required learning, and to just let them kind of decompress and process this, because it wasn't a planned out transition. And so it's going to be difficult for everyone.
Right. Now that makes sense. I want to remind everyone what we're doing here. This is Facebook Live, hashtag SEAM Cares. It's a Facebook Live series during the COVID epidemic, particularly trying to help parents with the challenges of education while we're learning at home. And I encourage you, if you have questions or comments, I see that Odile and Charles Tompkins and Cece are all on board, which is great. We all know Cece. Yeah, I just, so Del Rio, more to this, you know, as a mom using online learning, what do you think about the conversation so far? Have you had to adapt to make online learning work in your home?
I have, Peter, very much so. I've had to adapt to not having the support from the school district that I thought I would have. And I have taken the trick of, sort of like Lisa Tracy, of implementing other things into my child's schedule, such as physical education. We have a park that's not too far away, so we use that for walking. We have a gym in our building where we use it for working out. And actually, the virtual program grades her on physical education, but it's actually not done virtually. So that was a big adaptation for me.
Right.
I don't understand, and this is not to, the program itself is excellent. It's an excellent program, but I just feel as if it has some opportunities for growth and stability. There's no stability, there's not much guidance. So I've had to take on some of the things that Lisa Tracy has spoken about, implementing things that my child actually likes, classes that she is supposed to take, that she's actually graded for, that she needs to graduate. That's confusing because, as I just stated, physical education is something she needs in high school to get credits to graduate from college, but she's not being graded on it because I'm the one that's doing it.
Right.
So that's adaptation and confusion. We need more clarity in the St. Louis Public School District on the virtual programming. My daughter, I understand that schools are out now through at least April 30th, I believe they've extended it to. Well, she's still going on her virtual program as if school never ended. So what is going to happen with her assignments that she's continued to do? I've had no contact with anyone.
Right.
So there's confusion and everything with my situation.
Well, and it's definitely, you know, I'm glad that we have both you and Lisa Smith on, because it's very much, you know, a tale of two households. It sounds like in your situation, you were assigned the virtual program and have had some challenges with the implementation. And Lisa Smith, I know from talking to you tonight and before this, that you've had, you know, your own set of challenges, but that Lily, for example, was able to select a schedule that matched up what she would have been taking her senior year. Any other thoughts on the conversation, Lisa, and ways that you've had to adapt?
Yeah, because I'm listening to Del Rio and I'm wondering if she is enrolled, you enrolled in the MOCAP program, because my daughter was able to pick all her courses in the curriculum and the vendors.
No,
Right.
I am not. when I wanted to enroll my daughter in the virtual program through SLPS, I actually was invited to the district office. We set an appointment to do so. I went to the district office and they basically told me she's going to do this program, which is Accelis. She's going to use the Accelis program, and they basically looked at her transcript and said, well, I'm going to give her this class, that class. I didn't choose anything for her. I didn't even choose the program itself.
So Riverview tried to give my daughter a schedule, but I guess CC, we must have known that she was able, in the law, it must be written that they're able to pick their own curriculum. So after, letting them know what we knew, she was able to pick all the courses she wanted and she followed her Melville schedule. But I think we adapted well to it. I've been doing it since the beginning of the school year now, and it's the end. My daughter is done with all her courses. So, we just, now we're waiting to see what's going on with everything. But I think we adapted very well. I'd rather for my kids to be at home receiving a quality education than being in a failing school district, not learning and getting attacked. It's just, I'd rather for them to be safe at home. So I think we adapted well this year. And I'm glad that I decided to utilize this program the beginning of this school year for what's going on now. You know what I mean?
What, at the beginning, I shared a version of a schedule that someone had created. And I just wonder, and folks, if you're out there watching and you have a question for any of our parents, I urge you to put that in the comments section. And to all three of you, Lisa, Tracy, I'll start with you. You heard me talk about keeping a schedule, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about this preparing for tonight's Facebook Live, but how important is a schedule in homeschooling, and what does it look like?
Well, every homeschool is different. And so that's kind of, I can speak about my homeschool. And my kids wake up at a certain time. They have required classes that they have to get done in the morning. And then they have things that they have to do later in the day. For us, we don't focus on a lot of extra fill-in classes. So all of their work is mostly core work during the day. And then we fill in we're doing extra activities and stuff to get in their non-core classes. And so we have a relaxed schedule, and I just kind of chunk it throughout the day. We have like the morning stuff that we do, we have lunch, and then we have evening stuff, afternoon stuff, and then evening things that we do. And so it's a relaxed schedule. I don't schedule our house hour by hour. And I don't say we have to do an hour and a half of reading today, and we're going to do that every day at 10 a.m. Like, that just wouldn't work for my family.
Yeah, that makes sense. What, Lisa Smith and Del Rio, either of you, what's the role of a schedule as it relates to education in your house with the virtual option?
So my daughter is a senior, and like I said, she's finished, but from the beginning of the year, we never had a schedule. She's like a responsible teenager, so she just log in every day on her own and complete as much as she can. And she like, you work at your own pace, so you can complete as much as you want. Like my daughter said, she'll finish a semester or two in a day or two. You know what I mean? And she said she'll take a break, a day off, and start back. But I let my daughter work at her own pace. And like I said, she's finished now. I don't wake her up and tell her to log on to the computer, but we are able to communicate with her teachers through Zoom, emails, text, and phone. So it's communication there. I get a progress report every week. So I never like monitor her. She just do it on her own, and she finished it.
And Lisa, how does that contrast with, you also have a 9-year-old son?
Yes,
how does that compare?
It's a little different from him. So sometimes, I mean, right now it's spring break, but it is a schedule for my son. He do work on a little schedule.
Gotcha. And Del Rio, what about you? What's a schedule mean as it relates to online learning in your house?
Well, in the beginning, we did have to use a schedule because she was used to going to school and being in certain classes at certain times. So in the beginning, we did use a schedule. Now it's pretty similar to what Lisa has done and said about her older daughter. Nye will get up on her own, and she normally starts working no later than 8 a.m. I asked her to do her core classes first, her math, which I had to personally get a tutor for her, because unlike Lisa, I'm unable to email, call, or anything. Well, I am able to contact her instructors. I'm just not getting any replies. So I had to get extra help for her math with her. She normally does lunch around 11:30, 12 p.m., and she's always done by 1. So my daughter goes a little bit more, some people said it 3.5 to 4 hours a day for what she was doing would be enough, but she'll go from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 or 2 p.m. And then I've even seen her on weekends working.
Right.
Because Oliver kept her so it just depends. But in the beginning, in order to get some consistency going with her, because she wasn't used to being at home working, we did have to use a schedule.
Got it. Well, I want to, we're running out the clock, so we're going to wrap this up. There's some comments happening on Facebook Live. I don't see any questions I need to answer, but any last thoughts, Lisa, Tracy, any parting thoughts from you?
Well, if anyone is interested in reaching out to me personally, I'd be happy to respond to individual messages about homeschooling, or even transitioning from public school to a homeschool situation. I'd be happy to help guide anyone who is interested in doing that.
Lisa, what's the name of your Facebook group? Can people join that? Is that a private Facebook group? Or
it's Kansas City Homeschool, and I have some questions that I ask people before they join. And so if they want to put in one of the questions that they watch this video, and then I can add them to the group, and I have all kinds of resources, and the group is just really supportive of anyone who's wanting to make that transition or has questions about homeschooling.
Great, thank you. Del Rio, anything, any parting thoughts from you?
Homeschooling, as I said, and to me, I'm doing more of the homeschool role than the virtual role for obvious reasons that I explained. But it works for me. I don't worry about the safety of my child with everything that's going on in schools these days with bullying and all of that. I don't have to worry about that. I can kind of watch more of what she's doing and how she's working. And actually, I've brushed up on some things too. For some of those parents who want to brush up on their history or their literature or their math, this is the way to go. I recommend it. I do.
And Lisa Smith, what about you? Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Del Rio. I recommend, the virtual education, homeschooling your children. I was going to say something else and then I forgot.
You're all right, Lisa.
But I do recommend that. And I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of the panel to be able to share my virtual education story with other parents. But I want parents to know it is not hard though. It is not hard, and it does work for me. So
okay,
it's not hard as it seems.
And I want to, same sentiment, Lisa Tracy and Del Rio Swink and Lisa Smith. I want to thank the three of you for being on today. I want to let everyone who's watching know that I just got an email this afternoon. So it looks as though Virginia Weldon Ford, the person who the movie Miss Virginia is about, will be our guest on Tuesday, April 14th. So that's really exciting. And next Tuesday, the 7th, we're going to take a little deeper dive into virtual education with Elaine Schlepp from Grandview School District, as well as one of the online providers, K-12, will be here talking specifically about what they do. So more good stuff to come. I really want to thank everyone who joined us tonight. We appreciate you. SEAMteam.org and SEAMteam.org/COVID is our resource page with a lot of great resources. So check that out too. Thanks everyone, and good night.
Thank you.